Dear friends and colleagues, it's a pleasure to welcome you to this virtual event marking the most sacred day to Buddhists, the day of Vesak. Today's event has been organized by the embassies and permanent missions of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka and the Kingdom of Thailand here in Vienna, with support from the United Nations Information Service. We're here to celebrate the birth, enlightenment, and passing of Lord Buddha. On this day of joy, peace, and reflection, let me introduce those who will speak to you. Mr. Dennis Thatchaichawalit, Deputy Director General of the United Nations Office at Vienna, who is representing Ms. Ghada, Director General of the United Nations Office at Vienna, and Executive Director of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. His Excellency Ambassador Majintha Jayesinghe, Permanent Representative of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Her Excellency Ambassador Morakot Sriswasdi, Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Thailand. Ambassador Dr. G.K. Ananda Kumaraseri, and His Most Venerable Dr. Vijaya Rajapura Selawansa Thero, Chief Incumbent of the Dharma Centrum Nyanaponika here in Vienna. Welcome to other ambassadors and diplomatic representatives, the Buddhist community here in Vienna, and all those who are joining this event. I should first like to invite Dr. Selawansa Thero to open the event with a religious observance.
Thank you for your kind invitation. Especially, I would like to thank His Excellency Sri Lankan Ambassador to Austria, Mr. Majintha Jayesinghe. He is organizing this year's International Vesak Day with the United Nations organization. All Buddhist ceremonies begin with the veneration of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and observing Panchasila, 5 precepts. Therefore, I invite you to recite 3 times Namaskara, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Saranagamaṇaṃ Sampunnaṃ, Pānāti pātā viramani sikkhapada samadhiyāmi, Adinādāna viramani sikkhapada samadhiyāmi, මුසාවාදා විරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි සුරාමේරය මජ්ජපමා දට්ඨානා විරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි තිසරණේන සද්ධිම් පංචශීලං ධම්මං සාධුකං සුරක්ඛිතං කତ୍වා අප්පමාදේන සම්පාදේ තබ්බං ඉතිපිසෝ භගවාරහං සම්මා සම්බුද්ධෝ විජ්ජාචරණ සම්පන්නෝ සුගතෝ ලෝකවිදෝ අනුත්තරෝ පුරිස ධම්මසාරථි සත්තා දේව මනුස්සානම් බුද්ධෝ භගවාති ස්වාක්ඛාතෝ භගවතා ධම්මෝ සන්දිට්ඨිකෝ අකාලිකෝ ඒහි පස්සිකෝ පනයිකෝ පච්චත්තං වේදිතබ්බෝ විඤ්ඤෝ ඊති සුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ ශාවක සංඝෝ උජුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ ශාවක සංඝෝ ඥායපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ ශාවක සංඝෝ සාමීචි පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ ශාවක සංඝෝ යදිදං චත්තාරි පුරිස යුගානි අට්ඨ පුරිස පුග්ගලායේස භගවතෝ ශාවක සංඝෝ ආහුනේයෝ පාහුනේයෝ දක්ඛිනේයෝ අංජලි කරණීයෝ අනුත්තරම් පුඤ්ඤක්ඛෙත්තං ලෝකස්සාති එවං බුද්ධං සරණ්ඨානං ධම්මං සංඝං ච භික්ඛවෝ භයං වා චම්බිතත්තං වා ලෝමහංසෝ නයසති තේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන පාතු ත්වං රතනත්තයං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන පාතු ත්වං රතනත්තයං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං සබ්බීතියෝ විවජ්ජන්තු සබ්බ රෝගෝ විනස්සතෝ මාතේ භවත්වන්තරායෝ සුඛී දීඝායුකෝ භව භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ. Once again, I thank you very much for your participation and I wish you a peaceful, happy Vesak day. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Selawansa Thero. I should now like to turn to Deputy Director General Dennis Thatchaichawalit, who joins me here in the Digital Media Hub at the Vienna International Center, and he'll address us on behalf of Director General Waly. Please.
Thank you, Martin. On behalf of Ms. Ghada Waly, the Director General of the UN Office at Vienna and the Executive Director of the UNO Office on Drugs and Crimes, it is truly an honor for me to join this event on the day of Vesak and to share with participants and colleagues the message of the UN Secretary General on the day of Vesak. And it reads, I send my warmest greetings to Buddhists all over the world on Vesak, when we honor the birth, enlightenment, and passing of Lord Buddha. Today, we recognize the contributions Buddhism has made to human spirituality and culture for more than 2.5 millennia. All of us, Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike, can find inspiration in the Buddha's message of honesty, compassion, and respect for all living things. As we face the lasting impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is clearer than ever that humility and deep empathy are essential to our well-being and that of our planet. On this day of Vesak, let's resolve to build lives of peace and dignity for all on a healthy planet. End of quote. And I wish all of you a peaceful and blissful day of Vesak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General. Thank you, Dennis. I now have the honor to invite Ambassador Dr. G.K. Ananda Kumaraseri to give his talk on Buddha's teaching in the new normal.
Sukhi Hotu, dear friends. Some of you must be wondering what this greeting is all about. This is the first time you probably heard this greeting. It means, may you be well and happy always. Normally, you are accustomed to be greeted and you greet yourself to others. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the usual Western style or custom of greeting each other. But Sukhi Hotu just does not confine itself to the morning, afternoon, or evening, but it is for always. It is a greeting which is born out of metta, that is friendliness, compassion. It's an age-old greeting which was developed during the time of the Buddha and practiced during the time of the Buddha, and it has continued for centuries. I have taken the time to explain a little bit about this greeting because it has relevance to what we are going to discuss this morning regarding the Buddha's teaching in the new normal. This greeting encompasses a number of profound teachings of the Buddha, which as we progress, I will try and elucidate some of them, of course, because there's so many of them and it would be impossible to cover all of them in this short address. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish each and every one of you Subha Vesak Deva. It means, may you have a delightful Vesak. Vesak is celebrated in a very unique way. Unlike most other customs, traditions, and religious practices, Vesak is not involving wining and dining and merrymaking, but a commitment to rededicate yourself to practicing and to understanding and practicing the teachings of the Buddha, and also to commit yourself to develop your mind and to live a virtuous life. In particular, on this auspicious day, Dhammaputris and Dhammaputras, that is, children or people who follow the Dhamma, make it a point to do some virtuous activity or project. So this is unique in the sense that it is a much more sublime and much more meaningful way of celebrating the birth, the enlightenment, and the Mahaparinibbana, which Vesak commemorates across the world. Before I proceed to discuss the more substantive points regarding this talk on Vesak, focusing on the Buddha's teaching in the new normal, I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate the UN agency agencies in Vienna and the diplomats based in Vienna, in particular His Excellency Ambassador Majintha Jayesinghe, for taking the initiative to join other UN agencies across the world to commemorate this most auspicious day in the calendar among Buddhists. Now, when we talk of the new normal, we tend to focus on the COVID-19 pandemic. But thinking deeply, it involves more than the COVID-19 pandemic, in the sense that the new normal encompasses other challenges as well. It is not only the pandemic which is causing global challenge, but there are many other challenges that is confronting the world today. And we tend to overlook that, and we have been in fact overlooking these challenges. The repercussions are as mind-boggling as the COVID pandemic, and yet we tend to ignore or neglect or overlook these important challenges that we face. Some of them involve climate change and environmental degradation and the ecology and the ecosystem. Some involve misunderstanding, suspicion, fear, threats, rivalry, fierce competition, and the threat of war. And in fact, it is not a simple threat of war, but a nuclear war. So the world is confronting a number of serious challenges, and we are searching as to how best to solve or address and overcome these challenges. Yet, we have not been able to come to grips with the underlying conditions and the causal factors which bring about these challenges. In fact, as I just hinted, everyone is looking desperately for a vaccine to avoid the pandemic. But even this pandemic, we have not looked at the underlying conditions and causes of the devastations that has wrecked the world. I would like to take a little while more to highlight a couple of teachings of the Buddha which are pertinent to our discussion or discourse this morning, and that is the concept of samagga. Samagga means recognizing and appreciating the fact that we all are belonging to one family, and that family is referred to as the human race. We tend to grow up thinking that we are of different races, but there is only one single race, and that is the human race. And we need to feel that we belong to one human race, and in that understanding and in that mental makeup, we are expected to respect, we are expected to honor, and we are expected to live harmoniously with other human beings. So that is the concept of samagga. In fact, the Buddha had underlined this particular aspect of human beings living in harmony and in concord with each other by way of a wonderful parable, the parable of the Sala tree. Briefly, the Buddha referred to a gigantic Sala tree which grew in the open valley separate or isolating itself from the rest of the sala trees and shrubs and bushes and undergrowth. One fine day, a tempest blew across the valley and uprooted the gigantic sal tree. But the other smaller shrubs and sal trees remained rooted, firmly rooted in the ground, because they were able to provide protection to each other and shield each other from the tempest, the fierce winds that blew across. This parable underlines the Buddha's teaching of the importance of living in a wholesome, holistic community as a human race. Now, this is very, very much needed in the new world that we are facing. None of us can face the human challenges all by ourselves. No country can, no nation can, no power can. And it is time that we realize this, and it's time that we resolve to work together so that all of us are able to live without any fear, without any repercussions that we are facing. The other is Majjhima Patipada. Majjhima Patipada is another universal teaching with the Buddha underlined. Majjhima Patipada means the middle path, the noble middle path. It refers to avoiding extremes of whatever nature, extremes in terms of indulgence, extremes in terms of denial, but to take a practical, balanced, objective way of life, way of thinking, and to approach problems and issues and challenges with this mindset. And this is not a monopoly of any particular group or any religious grouping or Buddhist as such, but it is universal, as I said. It applies to everybody, and it is something which we should inculcate, should acculturalize in our younger generation, so that hopefully when they grow up, the concept of samagga, the teachings of samagga, the teachings of Majjhima Patipada become second nature and will bring about a vast change in the kind of society that we can envisage in the future. A third aspect of the Buddha's teaching, which is relevant to the new world or the new normal that we are already experiencing, is Kattanukatta Vedi. Kattanukatta Vedi is gratitude. In short, it means being grateful for the fact that you are born to start with as a human being. Unlike other beings which are born in more woeful states of existence, we are very fortunate to have been born as human beings. And also we are very fortunate to have the ability to improve ourselves, to think, to develop ourselves, and to enrich ourselves in terms of having a wholesome, a meaningful life. Now, these three I have particularly chosen because they are universal, and also they are very relevant in today's world. And in particular, the diplomatic world will appreciate the fact that these ingredients are very much lacking in the world today. And the challenge or challenges which diplomats face is to bring about greater understanding among peoples, and to remove the suspicions, the fears that have been plaguing the world for far too long. And with this message, I hope that some interest would be, or at least a greater interest would be taken to understanding, first of all, the Buddha's teaching, because the teaching itself requests us to have a right understanding. It is not blindly to be followed. It is not something which is based on blind faith, but with clear understanding, we should be able to then benefit from the Buddha's teachings. And again and again and again, I would like to emphasize that this teaching is premised on understanding of the human being, who is referred to as Manusya. Manusya means a being that has a mind which can be developed to its highest potential. A being that has got a mano or mana, which is the mind, which can be developed to its highest potential. So the new normal presents us with a challenge as well as an opportunity for us to reflect, to be introvert, to be retrospective, and to see how we should now address life in the new normal. Already we have this challenge of the COVID, and already we understand that this is not the only problem, that there are many other global issues and challenges, and that we should all get together and to combine understanding, to combine effort, hope we would overcome these challenges. Sukhi Hotu, may you all be well and happy always.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador Kumaraseri, for these fascinating insights. I should now like to ask His Excellency Ambassador Majintha Jayesinghe, the permanent representative of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, to take the floor. Please, Ambassador.
Most Venerable Dr. Vijaya Silavansathera, Mr. Dennis Thatchaichawalit, Deputy Director General of the United Nations Office in Vienna, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Ayubowan, happy Vesak to all. I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to Director General Ghada Waly and all at the United Nations Office for the arrangements put into place to celebrate the International Day of Vesak today. I wish to specially thank Her Excellency Morakot Sriswasdi, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand, for supporting these celebrations, and also the diplomatic corps and everyone who has taken the time to virtually connect today to participate in the celebrations of Vesak at the UN in Vienna. I wish to personally thank Ambassador Anandakumarasiri for his scholarly contribution and insight on the Buddha's teachings in the new normal, which is a subject that most relevant to each and every one of us in facing the realities of our day-to-day lives this very moment and adapting to and charting the future of our common humanity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Vesak marks the three most important events in the life of the Buddha: his birth, his attainment of enlightenment, and his passing away, which occurred on the full moon day in May. The teachings of the Buddha and his message of compassion, peace, and goodwill have positively impacted millions throughout the ages. The universal significance of the teachings of the Gautama Buddha is one of the underlying reasons why Sri Lanka, under the visionary and able leadership of former Foreign Minister late Lakshman Kadrigal, took the initiative to commemorate the international recognition of the Day of Vesak at the United Nations. I wish to reminisce and recall the contributions of Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka addressing the 54th session of the United Nations General Assembly in 1999, stated, and I quote, Some 2,500 years ago, a great teacher was born in Asia. He was born a prince. He renounced the world and roamed the forests in search of truth until he received enlightenment. Let me recall that Buddhism was first established in the central plains of the river Ganges, just south of the Himalayas. From the beginning, at one time or another, in the course of its history, the message of the enlightened one spread to large areas of India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, to Sri Lanka, China, and Japan, to Indonesia, Korea, Laos, and Vietnam, and to Myanmar and Thailand. I state this not with any sense of tribalism, but to note that this enormous expansion took place in peace. No battles were fought, no cities besieged, no crusades commenced to further the expansion of Buddhism. And when in accordance with the Buddha's teaching that all things are impermanent, the tide receded, no battles were fought, no cities besieged, no crusaders commenced to stem that tide. For all of us who are concerned with statecraft, this holds a fundamental lesson. Despite the tremendous advances humankind has made, we still grapple with problems that are most determined attempts to solve them within established frameworks. The world is currently facing an unprecedented crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic. Uncertainty, anxiety, depression, and the looming fear of disease and death have spread across the world. At times of darkness, as we are currently experiencing, the timeless teachings of the Buddha is a source of solace, just as it did for the people of the city of Visala, who were stricken by a deadly plague during the time of the Buddha. The timeless message of unity and service to others, and the recognition and understanding the interconnected nature of all life and all things, both animate and inanimate, has never been more important than today. It is only by cooperating together that we will be able to overcome the spread of the pandemic, combat climate change that threatens the very existence of life as we know it, and build a more sustainable system required for human beings to live and flourish. Thank you.
Finally, it's my pleasure to ask Her Excellency Ambassador Morakot Sriswasdi, the permanent representative of the Kingdom of Thailand, to deliver her remarks. Please, Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you. Most Venerable Dr. Vijaya Rajpura Silawansathero, Mr. Denis Thatchaichawalit, His Excellency Ambassador Majintha Jayesinghe, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Ananda Kumaraseri, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to join this auspicious occasion of the Day of Vesak with the special religious observance by the Most Venerable and His Excellency Ambassador Kumaraseri. I am very grateful for their participation. This is the first time that the permanent mission of the Democratic Republic of Sri Lanka and the permanent mission of Thailand, together with the UN office in Vienna, celebrate the Day of Vesak in Vienna, since the adoption on the 8th February 2000 of the UNGA resolution on international recognition of the Day of Vesak. I am also wish to thank the Diplomatic Corps for their attention to this event. The full moon day of the 6th lunar eclipse of Vesak Day is the sacred day on which Buddhists around the world commemorate the birth, the enlightenment, and the passing to Parinibbana of the Lord Buddha. Buddhists observe this solemn occasion by reflecting on the virtues of the Lord Buddha and his timeless teachings or Dhamma. We also express our gratitude to the Lord Buddha by offering his teachings practice and contemplating the core principles which could be applied to address the uncertainties and challenges to our lives that we are facing nowadays. The Lord Buddha taught us to train our mind, to protect it against the defilements, to cultivate good and noble qualities, while refrain from doing evil. The Lord Buddha has made us believe that human being has potentials and ability to be enlightened by awakening to the Four Noble Truths that lead us to end all the suffering as conditioned by defilements. Such defilements can be eliminated through practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, consists of 8 practices: right view, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi or meditative absorption. These practices help promoting to live our lives in a balanced approach to achieve inner and outer peace and give true meaning and purpose to human existing. This path is based on the fundamental values of compassion, service to the humanity, and patient endurance, which is defined as peaceful coexistence with the unpleasant, with our own selves, with one another, and with our surroundings. In everyday life, we could also remind ourselves to follow the 4 principles of virtuous existence, composing of loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. These enduring concepts remain as a source of inspiration and guidance for humanity to peaceful coexistence, to handle all encounters, be it among human beings and between humans and their surroundings or nature, and to reconciliate different viewpoints and avoid conflicts. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware that our modern world becomes even more interconnected with communication and technologies. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic bears testimony to the fact that the complexities of the modern world bring more uncertainties and crises. Many other specific issues, such as social intolerance, violence, growing inequalities, conflicts, global economic volatility, and environment degradation, are cross-border challenges and require our shared responsibility to tackle. It is therefore timely for us, global citizens, to share understanding, promote compassion and sympathy, and live our lives in a more balanced way while giving support to each other. We could work together as one strong and united global community to create a resilient, healthier, and sustainable future. It is my hope that today's event can inspire and guide us all to continue to do our part to uphold the peaceful coexistence and betterment of all beings. May the spirit of the Lord Buddha keep us safe and healthy. I thank you for your kind attention.
Well, thank you so much, Excellency, and also to Ambassador Jayesinghe for these really meaningful remarks as we come to the end of today's event, and really for helping us to mark, as you said, for the first time here at the Vienna International Center and in the community here, the UN family here in Vienna, the day of Vesak. I'd like to thank all of our speakers and all those who joined online today, and thank you also to my colleagues behind the scenes who worked very hard to make this happen today. Thanks very much again for being here today, and I also wish you a very happy day of Vesak. Thanks very much.